So for this episode of I Can Cook Too, I'm going to cook something a little bit different than I normally cook. It's a bit of a delicacy. I'm going to be making some oxtails. So I'm going to be using a different process today of cooking it, but yeah, here we go. So here's the oxtails. They've already been seasoned, and I had them seasoned and left them out overnight to, I don't know. I guess they could say brine it, whatever, but it's just seasoned it so you can put and left it overnight so it gets all the seasonings in the meat. And I'm going to be using the simple process now. It's going to be onions, garlic, bell peppers. I'm using the red bell pepper today. All right. So, obviously, first thing is take out my weapon of choice, and chop up the onions. And I put those aside in the tray. Rough cut doesn't need to really be too big a thing. Now with the bell pepper, this is going to be a little bit different. Bell pepper, just basically showing a different way to open it. So you cut the bottom out, then you poke in the top part. And obviously you see it comes out the bottom. The only thing is you got to clean out a lot of seeds, but then again, you could always leave them. They're harmless. It's a bell pepper, not a hot pepper. Yeah, cleaning out more seeds. Just basically, just cutting them in strips. Again, rough cut doesn't have to be, it's not for presentation or anything. All right, so next is the garlic, and see that was quick mince. Gotta put that to the side with the onions and the bell pepper. All right, so now here's the pot we're gonna put it in, and I'm gonna put some oil in the pot. This is the heart healthy oil. Yeah, see, heart healthy. I don't really know how healthy it is. They say it's healthy, but who really knows? All right, so what I'm doing right now is basically, this is the start of the process. It's a long process, and it's gonna go quick. The video is quick, but the process it actually took a long time. So the first thing I want to do is I want to sear up the meat, basically brown it. And it turned out to be a lot of meat. All right, so now it's doing its process of browning. And as you can see, as I'm moving the spoon around, you can see where it's got little, I don't say burnt bits, but burnt parts, but there's parts where it's, again, browning. And this is where you develop your flavor too. Because then what happens is a lot of that ends up sticking at the bottom of the pot. They call it fund or something. I don't know. And of course now, I'm just basically going to cover the pot just to get the meat start cooking. Now this is after a few minutes of the meat cooking. And again, you start to see the little brown bits. That's developing the flavor. And then now I'm adding in the veggies, the onion, the garlic, the bell pepper. And basically, again, just gonna mix it around, let that saute. And this is all more part of developing flavor. All right, so still mixing it around again. So basically sauteing the veggies and still sauteing the meat. It's the meat's not going to be tender yet, but again, like I said, um, making the meat tender, that's going to be the process, the long process. So now, this next part is where I do things a little bit different than I normally do. Usually, I do one or two things. I'll put it in a crock pot, not a crock pot, but a pressure cooker, and cook that for a few hours, and then it cooks a little bit quicker. But I don't have a pressure cooker right now, so what I'm doing is saute it in the pot. Then I'm going to bake it. So I'm going to bake it with all the meat and all the veggies, as you can see. And I'm not going to clean out the original pot, because you'll see what happens with that. But again, just taking everything out of the pot, and I'm going to put it in the oven to cook for a little bit. Again, now we're getting into where they're going to continue developing more flavor and starting to get it tender. It doesn't complete the whole process, but it helps out. All right, so now here it is out of the oven. It was basically cooked for a little bit, and after that we put it into the pot again. Now we're gonna let this cook low and slow for a few more hours, and boom, there we go, finished product. This is after many hours, and it was tender, very tasteful.